Hello and welcome to another Star Wars The Old Republic video. This time we're looking at week 3 of Star Wars 7.0, what you can do kind of on your gear grind, some things you might want to know about the gearing up, and just taking a general look at the different weeklies that are on rotation right now. What are we going to talk about in this video? Well, we're going to talk about housekeeping with level 80, your first day logging in on a new week, medals, accommodations, stuff like that, implant quest. We're going to talk about how I'm getting gear for all of my alt characters, what I'm doing for that. Maximizing your gear, how to actually make sure that you're getting good stats and better gear, not just getting a higher item rating. A little bit about the different stat distribution thresholds you want to hit at level 80, and then we're going to take a look at the different things that are on the weekly rotation for this week. So if you're watching the video and it's not March 1st to March 8th, this part of the video won't apply to you. And if you are not completely caught up, go check out the other two videos. Even if you aren't here for the start of 7.0, but it's your first time hitting level 80, yeah, go check out these videos in order. They're really designed for people who have just hit level 80 and looking to figure out how to get more gear. So it doesn't have to be necessarily the first, second, or third week of 7.0. Alright, so I just logged into my character and we've got our weekly conquest reward. So when we log into our tunes, the main currency that we want to look at before we start logging in a whole bunch of our different tunes and claiming all of our guild invasion conquest bonus is tech frags. As you can see, your guild invasion bonus, if you made your personal conquest and your guild made their invasion target, you're going to get tech frags as part of the reward when you log in, along with your flagship plans. So just make sure that your tech frags aren't capped. If you're really close to being capped, you can just go ahead and look at buying one of your legendaries, or if you need another tactical, these are the main things that you're going to be spending tech frags on in the game. The other thing is it can actually be pretty easy to earn conquest right away within the first day of playing your character. So again, check where your medals are. Right now my medals are a little bit high, so I might want to consider spending some of these. The first way that I would suggest is if you want to buy some additional 320 sets for any of your characters. It's not a great option if you already have 306 sets that are fully augmented and fully kitted out with the right stats. That gear with all the augments in it is going to be better than 320 gear without the augments, and I don't think it's worth it at this point to start augmenting 320 gear. The area though where it's going to matter for me is trying to wear my 326 DPS set from my other character. I've been using a 322 offhand piece because I don't have a 326 offhand right now. And that's kind of been bugging me that I can't make the set fully 326. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to be looking at buying an offhand for 320. And I have enough aquatic resource matrix stockpiled right now that I'm going to actually upgrade this piece all the way up to 326. You don't have to worry too much right now about spending any extra aquatic resource matrix, as it does take quite a bit longer to farm those up, whereas I'd definitely look at your tech frags and your medals of accommodation before getting too far into logging all of your tunes in, collecting conquest, and doing a few things on them. So the other thing that you want to be doing when you're logging in and out of your different level 80s, if you haven't been keeping track of this, see who has the legendaries available to them. So if you weren't aware of where to go to look for the legendary implant quest or all the new gearing stuff, it's in the supplies section of fleet. On the Republic fleet, it's going to be down in the bottom right corner. There's a single room here where you find all of your upgrade vendors as well as the legendary implant quest. When you're on the Imperial side, it's going to be in the top left up in this area that has the exact same room. So if you go in this room and you see that Snark is available, it means you've already completed the quest and you can buy your legendaries. Otherwise, Londar Edwin will actually have a quest icon above his head and you can talk to him to start that quest. Even if you aren't planning on buying the legendaries with that character, it really doesn't hurt to keep this quest up and keep it ticking. As you can see, Personal Conquest is going to give us 34 additional charges. So that's why it's really nice to make sure that all your level 80s have this at the start of the week, so that before you hit Personal Conquest, you're going to get those additional charges. So there we go, I just popped Personal Conquest, get my medals, get my tech frags, and if we go take a look at my mission log, I'm now at 68 charges on this device. So really helpful to boost that up. So one of the things I've been doing now to create alternate sets for all of my different characters, I go on a character, send them all the 326 gear. We talked a little bit about upgrading a piece here and there if we needed just to get it to 326, or I can wear any additional 326 gear that's being stockpiled already in my legacy bank. One of the things that's very useful to know is when you open up your legacy bay, it'll usually just open a normal inventory tab, and when you hover over items, it won't give you the tooltip that's comparing the equipped item versus the item you're hovering over. Alright, so I want to show you something that I've come up with over the last few days that's really helped me a lot when it comes to swapping my gear effectively as I trade those sets around. One of the things that I've found has been very helpful is making an additional loadout that allows you to have no gear on. You can just simply call it no gear. I can take off all of my gear that's going to be going back to my legacy bank, and now I have a loadout that doesn't have any of the gear that gets put in my legacy bank and swapped around. And this makes it a lot better as you're swapping gear around. As you can see, here's a loadout specifically set up to wear my 326 set that I'm swapping between tunes. Here's a loadout for when I want to take all that gear off to quickly throw it back into my legacy bank. I have full 326 gear on now, and I can just start opening these Noble Decurion distribution chests. I've already done this whole bunch on different characters, sending 326 gear across, and then just continuing to open these crates until I have a bunch of random 326 gear. And then I've got a legacy bay that's just being filled up with this additional 326 conquest gear. Then I can stop worrying about having 306 gear on them, and I can feel a little bit better about myself. So in addition to using our Noble Decurion distribution chest to be able to get ourselves green 326 gear, another really great way to start gearing up all of your alts is set your loot discipline to whatever loot you're trying to get on the character that is wearing your 326 gear. So I'm going to shove that gear over onto my Breakfast Cougar character, who has multiple DPS specs available, a healing spec, and a tanking spec available. So I'm going to set it to whatever loot discipline I want to keep getting gear for. And while wearing 326, if I'm in a Master Mode Flashpoint or in Veteran Mode Ops, I'm going to get 326 gear dropping for me from the different bosses, and it's going to be of the discipline I selected. So it's a great way to get additional gear to spread out across your alts, and when we talk about the next section, you'll see why it's actually really important to start farming up blue or purple gear instead of just sticking with green gear. One of the great things about being at 326 now and looking mostly for gear for my alt is I don't have to worry so much about completing those pesky weeklies. So now I'm free to go into the Master Mode Flashpoint queue and choose to filter the flashpoints to whatever I think is going to be easier, more fun, etc. And I'm still going to be getting those pieces of gear that are side grades that I can spread to my alts. In addition to that, I can also just walk in the door of anything I want if I have a group that's strong enough to be able to clear that content. So if you really like doing Red Reaper with a bunch of friends on stealth characters, go ahead. Now go and stealth through Red Reaper with all of your friends to farm additional gear sets. And of course, continue to work on upgrading your legendaries throughout this whole process, as those can go all the way up to item rating 330. Alright, let's get into the next section now, and let's talk about getting better stats and better gear. So as I alluded to before, you're going to want to be looking at getting blue gear instead of green gear by doing Master Mode Flashpoints and Veteran Ops. The general rule of thumb is green gear is worse than blue gear, which is worse than purple gear. So I did a little bit of calculations and I found that generally 322 purple gear actually has better stats for dealing more damage or healing more than wearing green 326 gears. How do we get blue gear? We talked about that a little bit already. You have to do Master Mode Flashpoints or Veteran Mode Ops. The other thing that's really nice that they've done for us is everything in the accessory category can also drop as rakata purple gear when you're doing Veteran Mode operations. So if you go and do one of the easiest Veteran Mode operations, Eternity Vault, then you'll also be getting some rakata gear. I have occasionally seen purple gear coming out of Master Mode Flashpoint. So now let's talk a little bit about the stats that you're going to be wanting to go for and how you want to actually get the different stat distributions on your gear. So if we pop and open our character sheet and we look at the details button here, this is where all of the hardcore stats have gone. Now, generally you want to have just shy of 2700 accuracy to get exactly plus 9% when you hover over accuracy. Now, in addition, there are certain class companions who will give you an additional bonus accuracy. If so, when you scroll all the way down to accuracy as a percentage here, you'll see that I'm actually at a total bonus of 10.09. That's because the companion provides an additional 1% accuracy. In all player-verse environment content, you generally want to aim for this accuracy number to be 110%. When we're looking at alacrity, generally what you want to look for is about 7.6% is going to be your 1.4 GCD. I tend to like to go a little bit higher because the game has some issues with input lag, error, and stuff like that. So I would suggest 7.8 to 8% is what you want. And if you're looking to bump yourself up into the 1.3 GCD, you're going to be wanting to look at about 15.5 to 16% alacrity to make sure that, again, you're over that threshold of 15.38%. How do we actually make sure we get the stat distribution correct? The individual gear pieces, so in this case Force Lord, only 2 pieces are going to drop accuracy for you out of your main armor. Now, if I was to actually start farming this Pummeler's gear, I would have different pieces that give me accuracy compared to Force Lords, and I can mix and match Pummelers and Force Lords. Same can be said for any of those stats. So the last way and the easiest way, but expensive, to fix all of your stats is just augments. So I put in a whole bunch of accuracy augments in my gear, and this allows me to reach that accuracy threshold. So I hope that gives you a bit of a better idea of how to maximize your stats, how to get the right gear. When it comes to your relics, I always like sticking with just the flat stat relics, so the ones that either give straight up a whole bunch of shield points or a whole bunch of absorb points. When it comes to your DPS characters, I like to go with the Mastery and Power Relics unless I know it's a class that needs a lot of extra crit, then I'll pick up the Mastery and the Crit Relic. Alright, so now that we've talked about the different ways that we're getting gear for all of our alts and the different ways to get the right stats and everything, let's look at what you actually might want to be farming this week depending on what your goals are. So if you're still looking to get Aquatic Resource Matrix, we're going to start there. So let's head over to our solo tab. We can see Belsavis is up. Belsavis is pretty good to do on both Imperial and Republic side. When you're on Belsavis on the Imperial side, you're going to want to take Freeing the Fallen, A Rock in a Hard Place, Old Enemies, Lights Out, and Breakthroughs. This is a very good return on reward when you're playing as a stealther. On the Republic side, you're going to want to take Jungle Fight, Open Communications, the Tyrant, the Engineer's Tale, the Stasis Generator. Those are the 5 you'll take there. It's a little bit longer than doing it on the Imperial side, but it's still pretty fast and still pretty efficient. When it comes to Hoth, Hoth can just go suck a big burn in hell. So anyways, we're skipping Hoth. Terrace on the Republic side, I'm not a big fan of. It takes a fair bit of time, and some of them can be a little bit annoying if other people have already farmed what you need to kill in the area. And Terrace on the Imperial side, I just don't suggest doing it at all. I really don't like it. Voss on the Republic side, absolutely horrific. Just, I don't know why they hate you on the Republic side if you're doing Voss. On the Imperial side though, Voss is great. Absolutely fast. You're going to do Rock Eaters, Ancient Guardian, and the First Commando's Call. Looking at our daily areas that are available, Black Hole, great. It's pretty fast to do, especially with a buddy. Farm Black Hole for your Aquatic Resource mats. Osis is alright, it's not the fastest one. I love the decos that you get from Osis though, so I'm definitely going to be on Osis farming it for mostly the decos, but the benefit of also getting some Aquatic Resource Matrix at the same time. Not shown on my list here, we've got Makeb is back up again this week. I don't know why they put Makeb 3 weeks in a row. What? Anyways, we skip Makeb. It's that simple. Do it if you want to, but it's exceptionally slow and it's not time efficient, and a lot of people just don't like the planet. The other one I didn't even realize was a daily area is Rishi is actually up right now. So I'm surprised. I did Shadow of Revan on this character, but I've never actually unlocked the Rishi daily area. I have no idea if Rishi's worth doing or not. The world boss farming has been changed a fair bit when it comes to the Aquatic Resource Matrix farm, as they've disabled the Primal Destroyer. They really didn't like the fact that we were farming Primal Destroyer, and yeah, this thing has been bugged for a very long time. They've known about it, they've tried to fix it, they've let it be broken, so on. And now they finally decided to do something about it. It can lead to not enjoying the game as much. So I kind of understand why they wouldn't want to have it on there. You can still do the world boss farming though. It's a way to get some tech frags and you get the Aquatic Resource Matrix. It's not time efficient if you just stand on the same planet on the same instance waiting for the boss to respawn. The only reason why it's really time efficient is if people are willing to swap instances and summon to different planets. So let's take a quick look at what is on the Activity Finder queue. We've got Battle of Rishi, which again, it was up last week. It's a little bit harder on the DPS check, especially the final boss can be pretty challenging if your DPS isn't good enough. Otherwise, it's not too bad. We've got Trader Among the Chiss, which is very hard on Master Mode. We've got Circa Corporate Labs, super easy. If you get this one, rejoice. Circa Core Meltdown, it's also pretty damn easy as well. If you get this one, I'd be pretty happy. At this one's really easy. They have removed the ability to stealth through a whole bunch of mobs by making them instant stealth detectors. You can't put them to sleep and run past them anymore. A little bit annoying, but overall, it still continues to be as easy as it's ever been. Lost Island, this one is actually quite challenging. It's very hard to tank that second boss, as I found out, and people have always found Lost Island to be a challenging one. Spirit of Vengeance, unless they've done something to change this one from 6.0, this one is laughably easy on Master. Now let's take a look at what weekly operations are available just for the fun of it and see what you can do if you want to farm those as well. In general, you shouldn't have any problems with any of the story modes. Karaga's Palace should be relatively easy to do on Veterans mode, but it's not a cakewalk like Eternity Vault. You definitely do need players to be a little bit better at doing their DPS and more aware of what they're doing. And everything else is pretty challenging. So yeah, the reason why you might be really interested in the operation stuff is if you're looking to farm up that additional Rakata gear and start upgrading it. The one thing that you can do if you're willing to spend extra resources to do it is to guarantee that a certain slot is going to drop as Rakata when you're inside of a mass mode operation, is you can put an item that's below item rating 320 in that slot. So if I go ahead and I change my main hand to a 306 or a 318, that way, when I get a boss kill, I'm going to get a 320 Rakata piece in that slot. It's going to be very expensive to upgrade, but it guarantees that I get it in that slot. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you found this video very helpful, very useful, and learned a few little things, or just enjoyed listening to me ramble about what I'm doing in Star Wars: Old Republic and how I enjoy playing the game. So as always, thanks for all your continued support, everybody. Thanks again to my Patreons. I got a new one, so that was really cool. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, have a great day.